We'll start the meeting, and we have opening exercise. Please stand for the prayer and pledge. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here safely. Please guide us in our decisions. Please allow us to treat each other with respect. And please take care of our families and keep us in good health so we may continue to serve those around us. Thank you for everyone who works with the JIPSC. There's no man is an island, and we need each other to do it all. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Here. 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 We on the agenda, April 24 draft budget presentation by Ed Kilcullen, Director of Finance. Come on.
All right. Handout.
He's here representing the
Those were head to the
I like the desk.
I'm going to buy a new one, but I don't get the budget one. Okay, so just so it looks kind of familiar, this is the format that they gives you the monthly rundown. I have it broken out by revenue, which is the first page in your example. It's Fund 01, and then revenue is 000. So I have each department broken out, or cost center, or these is. So going down the line, the first thing that jumps out is real property. Big increase is based on 22 numbers, 2022 numbers, which you know the market's been sizzling. And these numbers are given to us in the accounting. So there's a 18% increase. Delinquent revenue, we never know what they're going to collect on the backlog. We can only project that. So we just use prior numbers to calculate the trend. Go down the line. Real property, 3-7. I'm sorry. Let me go back to the number. So 01 000 401.05. That's following each. In the prior year, we had a duplicate entry from 2 years ago. So we overestimated the amount to be collected for 23. So if you notice that number for 23 is about twice the 148,000. Personal property, it's the same. Delinquent, that would be 4001. Don't know what they're going to collect. That's the county's collection effort. Go down to 40202 and 40204. The personal property, tax district 3-5 and 3-6. That's the city of Charleston. That's the agreement that we have with them, where they calculate it for us, and they tell us how much we're getting. So that's why we have identical calculations there. So 23 is 113,000, same for 24 projection. As we go down the line, Key and Blue, that's revenue negotiated by the county to get businesses to relocate them. So they say, you don't have to pay a property tax, you pay us a lesser fee. That's what Key and Blue tax. Next item down, state shared revenue merchant inventory, same number every year. The state gives us that money and they calculate that. And that's every 2-3 years, that number will go up.
Hey, guys, in
yes.
that, 3 point, in the personal property, 3-2, is that number supposed to be the same across to 30,000 both of them?
Yep.
Okay.
It's supposed to stay 35?
That would be account 01000204. So it should be 35.
30,000.
Yeah.
And what's the reason you're separate, 3.5 and 3.6, if they're both similar?
That goes back to that Supreme Court case. I don't know. I mean, that's just how the city reported it to us. So there's some nuance in there about why.
And just a quick question, are we amending our current budget, or is it being amended because our revenues are a little bit different than we thought they were going to be? But are we supposed to be looking more at our 24 budget right now, or
Yes,
are there
24.
things that are being adjusted for 23?
We're not making any adjustments tonight for 23.
Okay.
This is just a projection for the column just to the left of change.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Interest went through the roof with the interest rate increasing. So you'll see that was $24,000. I think local government investment pool, the last statement I saw, was almost 5% interest. 2 years ago, we were barely getting 1%. Proceeds to the capital, let me go with proceeds. Yeah, proceeds to capital needs. So we're projecting to purchase several pieces of equipment and vehicles, including solid waste dump truck, solid waste side loader truck, front end loader, fire ladder truck, accessory, and SCBA's with contractors with that airbag. Let's see. Sales of fixed assets, $52,500. Solid waste packer, which are in the process of moving capital into place, and safely dump truck. So revenue is projected to increase 39% in part of that time. All right, so all this information I'm going over is based on the existing millage that's in place, 54.7. In the payroll numbers, we have 3.2% merit into it and 2% COLA.
Can you say that again, please?
The millage is based on the current year's millage of 54.7 million. And the projected or requested salary is 2% COLA across the board and 3.2% merit.
Do we know what the raises were this year? Those same ones, COLA and merit.
It was the same. So you had a 2% COLA effective the 1st of July, 2022. And then the merit is based on the job performance. And so that can go from a 1% to a 4% based on job performance. And over the years, it averages out to about 3.2%. So that's based on everybody's anniversary date onto when they get evaluated and when the COLA, when that increase is effective for merit. However, we hadn't done a COLA increase in fiscal year 16. And so last year, in fiscal year 22, was the first time that we incorporated a 2% COLA due to the inflationary measures that enhanced the merit to.
Didn't have a large increase in one for some funds.
And that was the frontline employees. The frontline employees got 10%, that was December of 2021. And that was associated with the resolution to reallocate the resources of the OPEB trust fund that was supposed to be saved for post-employment benefits. And so that resolution redirected the resources that were budgeted for contributions to that trust to a 10% increase for frontline employees. Admin employees got 4%, and the leadership team got 0. Meaning the district administration and the director.
We're going to move on to personnel salaries and fringe benefits. And you're saying, hey, we're doing this 2% and 3.2%, everything should be up accordingly. Well, we're very dynamic organization. People have left, people have promoted, so the numbers aren't going to die that simply. So for instance, if we're looking at account 01, 101, 501, officials and administrators, our HR director retired. So she was in upper management, so this number didn't go up, actually, it went down because of that vacancy. So the change in that line would be 10%. So built into that is everybody else is 3.2% and 2%, but we have the whole entire staff for that part of the so you can see that as a common theme. The administrative support, we added one person in customer service. So that's more than 2.2 plus 2%. All right, as we go down the line, I'll pick out some of the larger numbers that stand out. Commissioner's expenses, 01, 101, 514, 01. We have reallocated the expensing of your invoices so that they go to actual legal accounts, or they go to computer accounts. If you buy the outfit this place, it's going to an IT related
Our
expense.
salary?
I said salary. but-
No, now.
Oh, no. Your salaries are in official things. So, legal
Where
expenses.
are our salaries? For commissioner?
Yes, your salaries are in top line 01, 101, 501, 01. So what was previously included erroneously in the commissioner's expenses is IT expenses, legal expenses. Those are now have been relocated to IT-related line items that we would pass through and legal-related demolition. So you will see that change when we get there. All right. So as you can see, computer equipment. That's 01, 101, 516, 03. This is up for a couple reasons. One, because we looked allocated computer-related expenses for commission to computer, but then we're also doing a server upgrade. So that is what's in the correct salary.
What's the daily housekeeping?
Housekeeping. That was allocated to every single department. And I know that Tom and Walter, they're not out there managing the housekeeper. That's an admin function. Allocate that strictly to Department 101 to the whole funds. Let's see.
Do we have a planning function?
Software licenses and support. That's more of that reallocation. It was 31,000, now 60,000. Moving on to the next page, and I don't see anything terribly remarkable until we get to, you see on the last line, in the first section on page 2, 01-101, 560-15, that's the 2023 capital lease that was renewed for 24. Moving on to Department 01102, 50101, which is administrators. We've had a change in management there. The fire chief retired, we promoted Chief Flick, and we needed to replace him. And his assistant capacity, so we had some internal candidates get promoted. And if they got promoted, it was just a ripple effect where people would be promoted from detective services to professionals, and so that's why those numbers as far as the change on the right-hand side. You have new people taking on new positions. Not their salary isn't as much as someone who has been tenured here for a long time and they go to retirement. All right. Overtime extra. We continue to have a lot of firemen filling in for firemen at other fire stations. That's what that number represents. Workers' comp. The workers' comp folks, they calculate that. We don't have to determine how much we pay. And we're also looking at load factors and the kind of risk we got.
Yeah, you say firemen, because of the overtime, because you're actually assisting other firemen. You're talking about within the department too? Or
Firefighters have to work overtime for open slot when we don't have people on, or people who are on vacation.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not any within the James Bond public.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
All right. Moving on down.
I asked Dave to the increase in retirement contributions, but that's what we went for so far. So,
Correct, it is an increase percentage.
Like 17 versus 20%. All right. Moving on down. Not seeing too much pickup in remarkable. Moving on to page 3.
okay, so fire department, we do have housekeeping there. So they have their own bill going on. That's all.
Okay, moving on to page 3. If we look at account 01-102, 520-05, other professional services, we have RCA, architect, estimated at $200,000 is what the fire station would include.
Dave, what are you talking about? Other professional services? What are you talking about?
He's an architect.
Just off.
Yeah, so when you have the $50,000 from last year, that's when we put out that RFP and we said, hey, we've authorized the $50,000. Here's the list of services. What can you do for us for $50,000? And so we were kind of capped at that for 23. And I'm still working with RCA and Bob George to get a better sense of the timing for the next phase. And that would be, very similar to when Nathan presented back in October, as far as taking the conceptual design into schematic design with the ability to produce the construction document to be able to bid out that project.
Okay, I just needed to understand. Professional service and you just qualified. Now, business, who's doing business? Business workers. Copy Supervisor Tomlin.
Ma'am, this line item, yes, ma'am.
Purchase membership, local budget.
This is equipment, supplies needed at our fire station for our fitness program. Also, for jar pack that we do, our physical agility, every year we have to buy weight vests, replacement, sledgehammers for the Kaiser sled, that's what comes out.
All right, I'm gonna push on towards the end of Department 102, going down to 01, 102, 536, 04, 07, capital equipment purchases. Those vehicles for 1.5 million, we have the ladder truck and accessories, the machinery and equipment, there are SCBA's.
The advanced breathing apparatus, which is the replacement for our air pump.
We can buy 50 of those at 12,500 each. We can purchase a Zoll simulator printer, 2 written packs, and a Homatro RAM.
The rescue equipment.
And so the commissioners understand within the packet, we applied for the AFB through FEMA, the Assistance for Firefighter Grant, and that was December of 2021. We'll be coming back to the commission the 27th of February about this is the next round of the AFB. It's not a straight year that they do that. They take the grant applications and as they go out the money, that determines when the next application for a grant is going to be. And again, we're going to try. Unfortunately, these have a useful life. They're not supported anymore, and we need to be able to purchase the SCBA's if the grant does not come through. So that's incorporated in the CAPAs and Bob Damron with the financial advisor, Compass Financial Advisor, to kind of go through that capital in detail as well.
For the capital, we take care of the 600 and something thousand for fire support.
It's the SCBA, the air pack, and then the line above that is the contract for Pierce that was in the packet that we went through. It's that plus $300,000 for accessories to outfit that ladder truck, meaning the hose, the rescue equipment, everything associated with the equipment that needs to be on the truck. The advantage of purchasing that through Garden Fire is that they consider that the whole truck. And we pay $500 for sales tax, and we outfit the truck through that, versus paying sales tax to outfit the truck after we already have it. So the sales tax savings to be able to outfit the truck and get it from the company. Right, yeah.
All right, moving on to Department 103. Which is 01, 103, 501, 01.
Fleet.
Huh?
Fleet.
Much of the same, every department has the 3.2 merit and the 2.0 COLA. And we just, kind of basic.
I think it'd be nice, you know, for you to, what all the things you say, like the budget is, because, okay, this is very confusing. This is fleet that you're talking about now, I think it'd be nice if you were qualified, but that's not, I'm talking about fleet. So, we can talk about it. It's very confusing.
Okay. So 103 is the fleet department. And we have 2 employees in there, so it's a fairly simple budget. Everything looks as it should be in personnel and operating budget. We had one update, page 4, which is the 103, 51706, safety equipment testing. Not a big number, so we got a new vendor. So it's projected to go up to $1,500 from $900. If you scroll down to vehicles, 103, 01, release money for $55,755. Moving on to solid waste, which is Department 104. We have the odd scenario where the salary actually goes down. But that's, again, turnover and transfer of employees.
That's a quick question. On salaries on fire and solid waste, if we fill those positions, how do we address that? Where is that? How do we-
So we budget for the number of allocated employees, staff in the department. And so all of the budget numbers are as if we are staffing to the full capacity.
The fire is what that?
And for example, the wastewater department, we were fully staffed for several weeks, and we got somebody leaving today. You know, so we staffed for the 16, because that's what we're allocating and budgeting for, and the goal is to make those staffing numbers throughout the year.
All right, back to 104, solid waste. We talked about the turnover and separation, if those numbers go down. If we move on to, not a whole lot going on to the fuel and gasoline, diesel fuel, and up and down a lot. That's, throwing at the outdoor, trying to figure out what that price is going to be from the entire year. Trend analysis, probably the trend is. Move on to page 5. Building department number 4, which is solid waste. And there's not a whole lot, the O&M is everything outside of capital. So we're looking at O&M, but when we get to the end of the report, you'll see building improvement, vehicles and machinery equipment, capital in nature. And looking at 104, 536, building improvement, we look to renovate the bathroom in solid waste. Next line item, vehicles, that's dump truck and side loader, capital lease program, for. In 53607, we have a front end loader, which is a tractor.
So the commissioners will remember that February of 2022 is when we signed a contract with AutoCar, which is the automated side loader. And we've been notified of the delay. So we were hoping to get that automated side loader by June of 2023. We ordered it in February of 2022. The most recent communication with our dealer is now November of 2023. So they pushed that back from June to November, and we're very hopeful that it will last delay with that. We have not heard anything international until the dump truck, and that seems, cross your fingers, we have not heard anything from that as far as the delay, that we will still get that dump truck by the end of June. The automated side tipper, they had a problem with the chassis, so they have they're attempting to get it lined up and marry the body with the chassis, and something has been delayed. So, as Walter and I get more information, obviously, we're pretty disappointed with the dealer, not a whole lot we can do. So, they offered us the opportunity to get demos, but it doesn't have the specifications that we ordered specifically for our operations, and the better option was to, okay, we'll get it in November instead of June, rather than the late truck, and do a couple more months.
Okay, so, Wednesday is the last that's, that's a cost, you have to pay that,
Not for auto car, with Spartan, we made them, because we were much more worried at that point about Spartan and their delays. Just due to the, complexity with the ladder truck. We have not had any problems with Spartan, with auto car, so we did not demand language in the contract that holds them, paying for delay.
Okay, just kind of understand. So are we spending $488,000 for solid waste vehicles this budget year and then $467,000 next budget year? Or is the 488 will be there now, and y'all have something on getting to the next budget year?
Right, so, the ideal scenario is this year in 23, we would spend approximately $100,000 to purchase the, dump truck. The remaining $367,000 won't be spent in 23, because it'll be 24 by the time we get that done. Same thing, with the ladder truck, that contract with Spartan said they have to provide that by December of 23.
So how many trucks are we getting next budget year? Getting it funded or that's what else?
A dump truck, an automated side loader, for solid waste. For fire, it would be the ladder truck, and then 2 F-250s, one for wastewater and one for food.
All right, so we're getting to the end of the general fund here. For each department, when you go home and sleep on this, you'll notice that I have a total by department. On this last page for general fund, you see that there's a total for solid waste, total expenditures, $3.3 million. And total expenditures for the entire general fund is $12.9 million. So I'm looking at the finance review budget column. Because
The general fund.
so the 3.1 is the total for solid waste. Total expenditures for the general fund is 12.9. When you net the revenues of the total expenditures, you have a positive $398,317. Part of that revenue is capital lease proceeds. That's just simply a loan. And that was $2.9 million. So if we subtract that $2.9 million of lease proceeds, which is really not revenue, you see, adjusted for capital lease proceeds, the general fund would be operating in a $2 million deficit. And this is at the 54.7 million currently.
The millage rate would not increase.
This is just based on the current rate. Down the road, we'll discuss what millage rate we are going to have.
So this is a $2 million deficit because of the current millage.
Right. All right, moving on to the wastewater fund, which is the next page. It has its own page number 1. And we have the revenue, and they're all nicely increasing. Looking at 02-000-41602, that district customers who paid $5.9 million based on the 5% increase that's already been approved. Rolling down other income at 4.00. They were talking about OPEB fund, and now we are drawing that bank account balance down for those people who retired under that program. So we're getting refunded, in this case, approximately $48,000.
What one?
That is the other income, 42000. Moving on down, and relatively consistent, a lot of the, finance budget review column numbers are based on year-to-date activity projected into the new year, and also the trend, time series analysis on prior years. Go down to account 46501, proceeds of the capital lease. In the 23-24 column, we're expecting $306,000 for the Tama truck and the Ford F-250. I didn't point out in the general fund, but I'll point out here that a line for FEMA 46504. That's for Hurricane Ian. We are in the process of trying to get that grant money approved. We're still not. We haven't even sent in the final package. We're setting up new ways to analyze it. Trust me, nobody wants to deal with FEMA. So I'm not sure if we're going to get this money this year or next year. But the rate we're going, it's closer to our money. So I put that in there. I did a similar entry for the general fund as well. Proceeds, sale of assets, account 48100. We have $1.8 million in the projected number based on the sale of real estate and the sale of F-250. Moving down to account 48300, transfers to capital project fund. But that's probably not an account that we've used here anytime recently. So you're familiar with the SCIP grant for this large renovation we want to do of the sewer system. This is our share of the local match. So we'd actually take $16,880 from the wastewater fund and put it into the capital project fund where we have CWS contribution, we have SCIP contribution, we have $1 million that's left in the state. All right, moving on. So in wastewater admin, 02-101-50101, we had budgeted for the former director, the deputy director, and the new director, the deputy director, overlap a couple of months. So when Mr. Hoffman and Jeff Owen left, they had their years of experience, they're on the upper end of the salary strata. Now we have new people coming in. So people, just like we fired, people are promoting from within. And so we have the beginning stages of the new level of management. So ripple to the officials, administrators, as well. Let's see.
Just have a quick question. Where is the $1 million from the state? Do you have it yet? What fund does that go into?
That's we created a new fund, Fund 10. So that fund is going to be subject to single audit because most of that money that we get, about $9 million, is the federal money, and the feds like additional audit work done. So we had to create a separate fund to demonstrate our compliance.
Is that going to be scheduled?
Yes, is it the next budget, the Revenue Committee will have that?
Right, well, that'll be in the actual budget document. What, for the SCIP grant, any time the district or any entity gets more than $750,000 worth of federal money, we're going to be subject to single audit. And so what the auditors do will have to have agreed upon procedures. They trace that federal money back to us. And so then we have to report back to the federal government that we have accounted for this. And so they're automatically going to ask us to designate a fund so they can see funds coming in, funds going out, dedicated to those projects.
But may we as a commission also track the spending of that fund?
Right, and so that'll be an addition to what you have in the actual budget document.
Okay, thanks.
All right. told you the story about salaries and fringe benefits. When you go down to computer equipment, 51603, software licenses, 51802, it's the same story. Reallocating commission expenses to the actual line items that they belong to. Plus, we also have upgraded servers. Server went down probably 3 times when I was preparing the budget. I see some changes that I wasn't able to say, so we're going to see that in the current page here. All right, building maintenance, 51902. That's to maintain the HVAC system. To clean it and clean it up. Moving down to management consulting, account 5202. That's where we budgeted for HR consulting, work on the website, and we had a budgeted CPA in here prior to 9 days, right? At the end of the day, so he's gone out of picture. So that's a big part by this year, 43,000. You know, I'm only going to be finance as well. We've got to 13,000. Legal services, Rosen David, Kyle Michelle, Post Glenn, that would be Lawrence, who's going to help us out on capital needs. Moving on to page 2. If you look to other professional services, account 5215.
How are we able to save 40,000 in attorney fees? We've still got Tom Michelle, we've got Rosen, we've got the, why are we going to be such a big saving? I mean, I'm glad to see it, but is it just going to,
I don't recall it was in that 125.
that was all we did.
So I take a zero budget approach, if everything is new, I just don't focus on what was done last year. So the second line on page 2, other professional services, that's account 5205. And what's new for 24 is we have the Gildan rate study for projected $40,000. We also have in that account projected $13,000 for updating the website. We had to update the website in general. So, I was going to tell you about one of my changes that I failed to say. If we go on to 52102, postage and shipping. That's Laser Print Plus. That's who sends out our bill to the sewer customer. It did not save what I put in there. So you can see a much larger number there. Next time, close to around $30,000. I will tell you, we made a lot of progress in signing customers up for AutoPay. That's where they set the credit card up in there, so you have less card copy bills going on. Moving on
Do we
to,
know what percentage on auto pay?
you have to get back to you don't know that number? Okay. That's probably because you elected to do so on the website. All right. Moving on to credit card merchant fees, 521.11. So we had people sign up for AutoPay. So that's our collections is going to improve, but it's going to have a cost. It's an investment. Pressing on to building improvement, account 53602. This is the same as last year. This is the investment in Signal Point. I think paving is the largest task in that number. Last year because we didn't sell the investment property. If we sell the investment property this year, then we will proceed with the 125. All right, and if you scroll down to the bottom of the admin department, account 55015 for the 2023 capital lease, which is new, to move forward with their purchases, will be $67,450 added to the budget. The 101 is the admin department. Think of admin, so all of us, we're all initially charged for the general fund admin. And then take that, you can loosely chop it in half and send half to fund two admin department. That's well allocated based on our taxes. All right, Department 150, 02, 150, 50101, is the actual technician out in the field getting the work done. You're not sitting here perusing spreadsheets like I am, they're actually fixing things, monitoring things. Much the same thing. The dynamic, you have employees terminating, promoting, whatever. To change how we won't use that simple 3.2% and 2% COLA.
I mean, that's a huge loss in salaries. Are we down a bunch of dollars?
So for officials and administrators, a lot of that you'll see on there is we budgeted for multiple months of having 4, meaning 2 directors and 2 assistants. And that's why you see that down from 23 to 24, because we're not budgeting for 2 directors and 2 assistants. That transition out.
One admin left, so that is reallocated.
So what that is as well is, instead of filling an administrative support position, we hire another customer service, so that's why you see that.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Back with, billing, and processing, you're stating that because of the auto pay, it's actually, we're increasing the cost, but we're increasing the commercial fee.
So as we get more auto pay, that cost, it's a credit card company that can possibly spend that, right? So the volume is increasing, everybody sees the benefit of using it.
We pay fees, it's part of the company,
Right.
customer doesn't pay that fee.
Right.
Okay, we pay that.
All right. So the salary story is the same in Department 150 at the bottom of page 2. I'm going to press on to page 3, which is more of the O&M, the day-to-day operating. I didn't make any notes on this page. I didn't see any picture removed. So I'm going to press on to page 4 for the sake of time here. And now we're getting close to the capital aspect of wastewater operations. You will see on account 02, 150, 53604, as vehicles, we have $305,000 budgeted for the back truck and the F-250. You scroll down to 02, 150, 550, 00, that's depreciation. That's not money going out the door, that's an accounting estimate. It's a calculation, if you will. It prorates the cost. So we bought a piece of equipment, $5,000, and we allocate it over 5 years. You can see instead of this 1.9 million, you see $1,000. You expense it over the useful life. So these projects, we've got a lot of projects we're trying to bring on. We're buying a lot of equipment, selling equipment. So this depreciation is a non-cash estimate calculation. And we go down to the next couple of lines, we're trying to highlight that a little bit more. So the next line is total operations, almost $9.4 million. Total expenditures for the entire fund 2 would be admin and operations, $13.8 million. You net the revenues versus the total expenditures. Wastewater would be operating at a deficit of $408,000. However, what I just said about depreciation, that's not money going out the door. It's just an estimate that governmental gap standards tell us we have to create. So if you discount it by the depreciation in order to get back to a cash number, the capital lease, that's only a loan, it's not money you get to keep, that's to start paying that back. Wastewater will be operating in the black for $1,235,682.
Maybe that's something that I'd like to see more often.
I'll try to do more.
So when we talk about the gift grant for the sewer extension, and with bid landline, you want to put from Water Bluff to Plum Island, is that all going to be in that separate account you're talking about?
Right.
So we're not listing the big water main as a major wastewater project in our normal budget. That's going to be this other thing.
Fund 10, you know, you can't put it into Fund 02, the enterprise fund. It's gonna have to be separated out for the fact that we are receiving the money and that we are paying out and using that money. Any major federal funds like ARPA that's getting pushed down through the RIA, they're gonna have specifically quarterly, maybe hopefully semi-annual reporting that we're gonna have to do for them. Most likely be quarterly, and we would have to print out of our general ledger what's coming in and what's going out. We have to separate out bank accounts as well.
They, I'm saying, with that one money, we have to have to separate, like, again, that money can't be used, that is totally separate. Because of the accountability, you got to say, before, periodically, so that you can get the money.
Correct, and then the auditors come in on an annual basis to make sure that we're reporting correctly.
Because, government money, and it's just what your level.
There's always going to be strings attached for major investments.
They, how many times I want to tax the city, what's happening?
Correct.
So when we built the main line from Central Park Road to Plum Island like 2 years ago, we don't take out a capital, we done that. Is that far as going?
So I believe that was the SRF, the state revolving fund. And so the state revolving fund, you'll see, for example, in here, 02, 150 at the end, SRF project, second to the last,
Yeah,
02, 150, 536, 12.
sorry.
That's 1.1, so that would be phase 5 of the rehab associated with lining the pipe and the manhole. And if you look at the very bottom of page 2 on the wastewater fund, you will see starting at 538.02. So 02-101, 538.202.
Yeah,
You'll see those debt service payments.
yeah.
It says debt service and DS debt service payments. Those are projects. It doesn't delineate specifically what's SRF, but the district has done a lot of the upgrades associated with these pump stations, and those are the debt service payments associated with that. So 02101, 538.27, SS phase 4,
Yes,
can tell you that SRF money.
okay.
All right.
They finish.
I'm finished, unless there's any questions.
We will email this out to the commission, and so, so you have this to review between now and the next, Ways and Means Committee meeting. Ed and I have been putting this together. I have a couple more things once we got this together. I'll email it out as well, but this is the foundation of building blocks. We're going to tell you the strategic initiatives, that we'll get to a little bit later on in the meeting.
I will add that, to emphasize, as it says in the label of the top left hand, which is preliminary, this is only, not even halfway through February. So some of this analysis is based on year-to-date activity. So we still have 2 months left in the year. And so we will update this as we
Excuse me, I have a question. I haven't taken pictures in a flat. Are you taking for a certain reason?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay.
I apologize. It won't happen again, I think.
No, it's fine, but it's one of those.
I agree.
If it's for Facebook, if it's for personal reasons, or if it's for, library, I can't go and I tell the class and it's not to be the public initiative anymore. I think it's a public meeting. Well, it's directed that we got to let them know.
All right. With this, we'll go to Joanne for the wastewater rate increase.
For the sake of time, just saying that we bill about 7,179. All right, so we bill 7,179. That is not including all some water or all the, on average, $517,000 a month. That's based on July 22, February 22. This past fiscal year. So today we were $4,138,860. In this budget, July, February. When we're talking about the budget, trying to maintain billing, so there's the simple terms that this union will, CPF, and one CPF is 750 a gallon. When you get your volumetric rate, which is the rate that starts first CPF, and you have the basic rate, which is the flat rate of the revenue that starts with what the cost of operation is for the public use. So that is the rate increase. Currently, the base rate that we charge is 21.86. Volumetric charge is 69. Yeah, that is relevant to non-use exports. And we also have all of the dispatch charges, which the one, but I can tell you that there are no days for convention in our postal system.
And what is our holding or the loans that we see? What is the loan column?
Great ordering, that's the majority of the. There'll be a 5% increase for FY 24, that's approved on April 25th. The next one is the new rate, as opposed to FY 22 rate. So we'll go with the base rate of 21.95, volumetric rate of 69.92. Always, and then,
just for the benefit of the new commissioners, this is based on a rate study that we contracted with Willdan. They do rate studies for utilities. And so this rate study was for the years of 19, the 5-year study, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Right, so this is the last year that they completed the rate study. So in fiscal year 24, we're trying to complete another 5-year rate study to establish how the rates are going to go from 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So every 5 years we go through that. Willdan will present to the commission as far as what they're taking into consideration associated with those rates. We'll get into the average bills, but obviously the capital associated with putting into maintaining the system, that's what most heavily drives the rate. Is the amount of infrastructure that you're going to have to complete over the next 5 years.
The next slide is just the increases by dollars. You've already mentioned one point 30%. The base rate for the people in the majority of our companies they have is $1.09, higher down. Well, customer care increase is $3.30. Average residential customer uses 6.32 CPS of water per month based on their licensing billing. So that equates to 4,727 gallons of water per month. So the 6.32 times 748 is 4,797 gallons of water. So if we take that 6.32 as the average, see how we can doing based on our current rate. So the current rate right now is volumetric rate of 659. So we multiply the CPS times the volumetric rate times the 4164. Then you have to add the base rate. 2186, if you pay for the people. So the bill right now, currently, that's why we can see on this one. And for UPS times volume rate plus base rate. So in FY 24, we can use rate. 6.32 times 692 volumetric rate. 4273 and 2295 base rate. And that's on 868. We've got another section of residents. The FY23 bill is 6350. The FY24 bill. So the difference was $3.18 for right about $38 a year. Non-year, their contract right now is $57.99. The rate on is $24 and $71.39. So their increase is $3.20 a month, which goes to about $3. So right now we have 130 well, 130 and 30 well.
Yeah, I just think it's important to point out to the new commissioners that we had a big jump last year. So between 22 budget year and 23, we had a huge jump. So the jump from 23 to 24 isn't that big. It was the last jump that was so big. So I went back and looked at it, and you know, it's pretty So they suffered a huge jump in July of last year, of 22. That was just 6 months ago, right? So they're about, this July, they're gonna have a smaller jump. But the big jump is last July. And, you know, if I had time, you know, if I step up and make coffee, but I'm sure it's everybody. But, the big jump was this past summer.
Well, we hadn't had an increase. John, would you talk about, that was the first time we had an increase in school nurse a very long time. What's your, like,
About 14 years, no increase at all.
We don't have an increase in 2019.
Prior, in 2010, when the first increase, and it gradually got more and more, and then I think that was a great study, when we went to the higher, we had 9% one year, and we didn't have last year.
Well, we must be an island of retirees now. We don't have any families or children because I am so far off this average, and I have 3 adults in a 1,200 square foot house in one bathroom. And I am so much higher than the average. So,
That's
I
just
mean,
pulling off the numbers that we built in the last 8 months.
it doesn't interesting because, yeah, ours is much more significant than what you're calling the average.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna fluctuate, because higher rates is depending on water, and that's what we're telling people all the time. We can't tell you what your sewer bill should be, because you might have 3 people in your house, I may have 6. And with no cap, it's just gonna, you know,
Yeah, and, you know, just to point out, we still have to not bill folks in big freeze, because we just, and on our last bill, it was through December 20th, and the big freeze was the 23rd. So people will be billed for that this coming month. So we'll see what the impact was of that 4 rough days.
I do understand the increase, and I'm okay with that, that's what it's at. But, according to the figures, when the average bill cost doesn't appear to be at the average. The answer to the question that you said, basically, is the usage of the water. So therefore, I would have to get with the people who have currently require to the fact that water is within the recommendation quote that you gave us, this is 27.
Down to 4,727 gallons of water per month.
We're at 84.
well, the bill is based on the amount of water we use. I live alone, I use a lot of water. So I depend on, although I'm not trying to flush the toilet or the thing adds up. So, $21 for
Ours is 78.
we use too much water.
Mine's 90 a month, everybody. I live in Berkeley County, so I got all your.
I'm really
So I'm billed by CWS, but I am a Dorchester County water and sewer customer. And I called Mr. Larry Harper over there because I wanted to understand what's going on. My bill went up 12.5%, and then 11.5%, and 10.5%. And it's a similar scenario where they hadn't increased rates gradually. And then their rate consultant came in and projected 5 years out, and it was a little bit more stumped, and, you know, what we were projecting out. And as we go through the rate study, they're gonna show comparisons to other systems as far as we're a little bit unique because we're water only. Most of the systems are utilities that are both water and sewer. So, I'm sorry, sewer. Yeah. All right, thank you, Julianne. With that, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Bob Dameron with the Compass Municipal Advisor to talk about the capital leases from
This big draw night, they have this, so, the leases have been talked about tonight so far, Ed talked about, things you all got in process. This is a list of the items that would be in the 2024 fiscal year lease. Depending on when we're going to need to sell that lease, that would be a little bit of a lag with the truck, not really, so we may we'll talk about that. So this would be the leases that we would be covering with the capital lease. As opposed to leasing each one of them individually, we are proposing that you actually go to market one time and have a master lease for this lease program. We're estimating the interest rate for our members that we give an ad to roll in the new budget at 4%. So that will be a rate that will be competitively bid. We send it out to over 100 different banking institutions for their consideration. Realistically, you're going to have 4 or 5 that are going to really bid on these projects. As you see, the total equipment cost is $3,233,780. We will have a resolution at some point in time for the full commission to consider. It'll be a not to exceed the $3.4 million. This will be that we have the increases in the bond costs. So we'll be talking about a debt report on governmental funds. Okay, so next, before we can talk about where we're going, I think it's always important to look at where you are. And this is a list of the various leases that are in place today and the CPO bonds that are in place today. The 1996 PO bond is USDA loan, and so that's going to give you careful protection, not going to protection. But sure that loan, but the issue is it's going to expire in 2035. That's the security of it. The second PO bond is on the fire station reform, is correct, and that was competitive as well. And you see the borrowing rate, the interest rate on that is 2.164%. Going to market today was probably at 4. Just because of what's happened with interest rates over the last 12 to 18 months. Specifically, will it be that way next year or the year after with the financing? Fire station 2, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you for sure what that's going to be. But when we run projections, we run the projections at 5, just so that we're on the conservative side, making sure there's plenty of revenue to service the debt, any event that the interest rate goes up. I do not anticipate it being 5%, but we always estimate on the conservative side of the high. The other leases that you can see, they mature about every other year. So as we talk with Dave and Ed and some of the others, we look at doing capital leases, we're doing them on an every other year basis. We did any last year, we've got 2 very, very large items this year, which is why I announced them a lot later. But we normally on capital leases are looking at $800,000 every other year as far as leases when we put it in the mall. This is a graph of the debt service payment. These are making payments on this bond. And the big yellow line that you can see on this list is that I'm about how we're going to make payments that goes up that much. Why does it go up that much and the others back out? You have built up over $1 million of excess money in your debt service payment. The only way you can
pull that money out and use it is to actually issue it. So what we're proposing in order to cover a new fire station in District 2 is to take advantage, pull that debt out, that is a short-term bond. That money can go into your capital fund, that can be used to pay for the creative payments on the fire station number 2. And then the village is going to drop that down. But the village is not going to change, it's just that excess money is in that debt service. The reason we would do it this way is that as soon as you pay that money back, it automatically recalculates and puts it back into your 8% debt. So you'll be able to issue your 8% debt rental capacity. There's that $1,100,000 in the short term, you pay it off. So the excess money to the debt service fund, it doesn't change the existing village whatsoever. But it's part of the overall capital plan as to how we're going to come up and fund a new fire station under the same village. It's part of it. So that's why you're going to see a big spike.
The auditors say that we were at 10% on debt in the audit. So if we borrow more, we pay it down that 10% that we're at. He cautioned us that we're close to 10%, we're at 10%. We gave the audit off.
10% of,
Debt capacity. I mean, he was talking about 10% of our revenue, our budget is going to pay debt.
I'd have to go back and look at it, but I'm not sure where I remember the 10%.
I'll go back and look. It was just a warning in the issue that we're at 10%. And then, I mean, it just triggered my thought when you said 8% debt limit capacity.
You have a governmental entity, you have an 8% debt capacity, 8% of the assessed value being outstanding between 1 and 1 time. As far as governmental entities without revenue. So, we can issue that on the basis of every time you make a payment against that, and that's going to increase the capacity. The amount that's between the amount outstanding and the amount that is 8% times the assessed value. Every time the assessed value goes up a little bit, you're going to get an additional capacity in your 8% debt that you work with and be able to finance by. So what we're trying to do is work within managing that 8% number, that capacity number. So if you can issue that, pay it off, come up with a target amount for the fire station. So as we look at the next table, these are the numbers behind that graph. You can see in column F, we're looking at $1.1 million. That is a debt service on that is $1,144,000. Issuance and then 6 months later, we'll take it off and it's coming out of debt service. In column G, we've got a number of $900,000. And these are all projections. Everything is just this is part of the model. That $900,000, when we talked to Dave and Lawrence, Ed, would be to issue a USDA guarantee loan. Now, we're currently having some problems with qualifying that for USDA funding because of growth and not rural. So there's some provisions that we're trying to jump through and work through. So our plan initially is that we would pull $900,000 through a USDA guaranteed funding. Why is that important? In 2035, you're going to lose your 1916 territorial protection, annexation protection. And so, in order to protect that, we're looking at doing a small piece. And the reason we do it all is because these loans are very expensive. The interest rate could be twice as much as the average market because it's a 40-year guaranteed interest rate loan. So we have to pay for that when we borrow. But it's kind of like paying insurance against
further encroachment into your district after you So if we can get through qualification under USDA, we would issue a $900,000 USDA guaranteed loan to buy property liability and one of the few that are actually out there making it. And that can extend down to 2050. We've got to extend that 1926 protection from 2035 to 2050.
Why is it on this?
Pardon?
Why was the USDA?
Well, because USDA has a lot of requirements on what it takes to build water money through the USDA. And part of those is the rural and I know that we've asked for a waiver. The staff has looked at all kinds of parcel maps, all kinds of census maps, trying to find any place that qualifies. So far, we've not been successful. But if we are in the model, we've got the 900,000 set aside.
So historically, fire stations have been built using USDA direct loans. So you look at fire station number 4, was built in 1980. And that just rolled off and made the last payment in 2010. And then fire station number 3 was built in 1996. And so that's why that goes through 2035, another direct loan for 40 years, right? And so you look back with legal precedent as far as the district was involved in a lawsuit from 1996 to 2000, the city of Charleston, city of Polyhue prevailed that they did not curtail the service territory associated with fire department. So that was all hashed out in the late 90s. And so at 2035, when we make that last payment, we're no longer indebted to the federal government in a way that's
It means to be in that.
Is there a minimum amount or why the 900?
900 is an amount that Lawrence has reached out to a couple of these banks. This is what the minimum amount they will do. And so, because the interest rate is almost double of what it would be in the open market for the rest of the financing, we just felt like it should be the absolute minimum amount. We were thinking about $500,000, that would be more for us. But what we're kind of getting back is, for us to actually do the loan, the cost of registration, the processing, and putting together the loan, because 900 is kind of the minimum that I would got. But in addition to that, we'll have to get USDA. And so that's the plan today in the model, is that we would have 900,000 in USDA fund. And then the balance of it is going to fund capital markets or bidding process, or whether that was that profit, or the nothing good. Our plan is to issue the short-term loan for 8% money down and put it back in the capacity in some kind of issue. The other 2 loans would have to be placed. If the USDA will not approve the 900, then instead of that issuing $4 million, then payment will probably be less if we do it combined, because the USDA rate is high. But we've taken all those considerations into our calculations, and then we'll get in the model. We're putting this in the model of 5%. We expect that rate to be less than but again, when we remodel, we want to do a worst case scenario so that we don't have to start making a lot of changes. So this process will generate a total of $6 million under the model for fire station. I don't know what that amount's going to be yet, but we know that we can fund up to $6 million for fire station period. We still maintain their 8%.
Now, as we issue all that money, maybe comment that the auditor maybe is that you don't have as much capacity as before. But if you're starting to make those payments, you're making as quickly as you can, you'll start getting that capacity back to it. Again, all this is plugged into a set of modeling plans based on what we have. So again, we try to use a higher interest rate, and we have a dollar figure that that is in past has been years ago that we talked about. So we're trying to be conservative in the market. Probably have to vote on any of this, but this is not a high. The next page shows the debt service. We use a target of not having a millage increase of around 5.3%. And looking at this target, this required millage is 5.3. It stays at 5.3 until 2029, and then the required millage will actually drop down to about 2.5. But in 2029, that's 5 to 6 more years out. You're all going to have another project that you're going to need to fund, and so you're going to need that capacity. So what we try to do is build in like a spare step in the debt service so that you have capacity to do the project you have. That's all part of modeling. Under column J, 5-year fund balance performance, you see that currently in 2023, that's 2.3 million estimate. When we issued the million, that's what we made 1.1 million is like pull that 2.3 down. It wasn't the performance about $1 million for that service. Constitutional debt number is the 8% capacity that we were talking about. As you can see, when we issue all of this debt, we're projecting the debt capacity to be down to about 345,000. We're not going to issue any more money, any more debt until you start paying that debt back into the future. So at $6 million, we're pretty much tapping what you all can do the same affordability. The thing you see in the next year, because we're making payments on that, it goes up to 92,000, then 1.4, then 3.9, 2.7, 3.9. So by the time that required debt service falls from 5.3 down to about 3.5, you have more capacity, your 8% capacity down to about 3%. This is based on 1% growth pattern, which is extremely conservative based on the fire analysis of the last 3 to 5 years. So it's a very conservative proposal, very conservative pattern. Let's look at the next page. This deals with capital intake. And this is on the general fund. And you see the capital lease payments, we borrowed this new money, $3.2 billion. The payments are going to go up a little bit from last year, but because we have any leases, we're paying off all the leases. So we got a figure of, if you layer in all the new debt, and the new debt going forward, 800,000 every year, where your debt service payment on the leases should be flat. These are all estimates, of course, is the model. But the model is structured so that that debt service payment on capital leases that are outstanding is not going to have spikes that big increases. And the next page is the page behind that that talks about kind of our expected debt service payments on these leases. We issued those in 2023, we talk about timing and the money. And then we'll have a placeholder built in for 800,000, the 5-year fund on lease every. See that keep your lease payments in that 800 to 900,000. We did the same for the proprietary fund. And you can see in the graph, all the leases on the proprietary fund are also structured so that the level. And then a stair step down in 2029, we can build in the
that's pretty much the summary of the model of how we fund leases that have been talked about on the first, very first page. And then also how we would be able to fund our
So Bob's up here right now, and I just want to repeat that. We would be able to fund a $6 million fire station number 2 project and not have to increase 5.3 mils that we're already levying. We will be able to build fire station number 2 and not have to increase the 5.3 mils, and that gives us capacity for a $6 million project. That's very good.
Once you put that in writing, then, yeah, because they know.
It could be that with the various processes that you all put together, that you will have to do something.
Yeah, they know.
But
We
you-
need
but
more
you
than
did have-
pick up garbage. We got, the public needs to know that we can sit here for, 6:30. We do more than the garbage. We need to, get this kind of information out so people will start. What do you do with all the money? And I thought, so, but information is power.
There's one number I don't understand on page 4, on the debt service fund, which I think is an important page. Page 4, debt service fund on 2023, if you go all the way across, village target, required village levy. Why is that 3.1 hanging out there by itself?
That's why you have built up an extra $1 million. And that the total debt service payment that was required is only required 3.1 million. But the village is 5.3. You take the village set at 5.3 for the village is set at 5.3, but the debt service schedule, payment on the bond, actually had a bit in that.
So that's just, that's the ability for.
The borrow $1 million and have that in the
So they accelerated the payment. There were 2 bonds, A and B, and the land was taxable and the station tax free. So obviously they wanted to accelerate the payment on the taxable deal with a higher interest rate. And so those accelerated payments are now dropping off, and that's why we're able to levy that 5.3 and be able to do the additional 5.
Our recommendation to the district, whether it be school, city, county, special purpose district, is when you have your millage, try to have it at the level and flat as possible. So that you're not getting tax increases, tax decreases, and tax increases. Had you levied only 3.1 million to make that one payment, one is number one, you wouldn't have to take that money to finish the project. But you would be facing a tax increase that's 5.3. Now, I don't know about you all, but when I was elected official, I never got anything, from anybody from the village or anything. But I heard a whole lot when the village went back up, but they forgot that the village went down to the state. So what we try to do is the national budget for all of our homes is to recommend and find the target village and keep it. If you have a little extra money built up in the debt service fund, at some point in time, you'll have the opportunity to do it all the way. You're not wasting the money, so when it's a capital fund, you can use for capital purposes that are needed by the. So that's why, yeah, because of the previous debt structure payment.
So what about the 6 million, the new fire station, over 2 years, and then borrowing an additional 2 million for vehicles on a, those are 2 separate things?
Who's that?
The capital leases don't count for that 8% of that salary, only the general operating. Thank you, Bob. Any other questions?
Or item 6, fiscal year 24, strategic initiatives.
All right, so we got a couple people here tonight that we introduced the leadership team last time, but we have, in addition to who you saw last time, we have Mr. Kevin Levon, who's here tonight, and Kevin is the newly promoted Assistant Director of Wastewater Services. If you haven't seen Kevin, he's very excited about the camera truck to get that operational again. That is going to be his baby. And then we also have here tonight, you can see Mr. Jeff Nimmons is the route foreman. And so he is Walter's right hand and out in front of the trucks, dealing with some of the situations where he can identify if there's going to be an issue with any of the pickup. And so Jeff is kind of the front line face with the customer in the field associated with solid waste services. So I wanted to introduce them so the commission knows, has a face to the name. With that,
I like to see them back.
that's right.
Record.
All right, so strategic initiatives, right? This is kind of new. We didn't have a strategic plan before. And so you will see all of these look very similar. There are 6 strategic goals on there. Those 6 strategic goals represent the column all the way to the left. And then what we're trying to tell you is the implementation project, all right? So we can't do everything all at once. And commissioners will remember when we went through and we prioritized, we did a community survey, we had informational sessions, and we tried to be able to rank and prioritize because obviously we can't get everything done all in fiscal year 24. But I'm trying to highlight what we're trying to do and give you reference. So Ed and I have been kind of pounding out the building block, the handout that we gave you, right? And then those lines go across and we tell you what we're trying to prioritize and include in fiscal year 24, because the strategic plan moving forward in 2020, in fiscal year 24 and beyond, that's what's kind of driving the bus. And we are linking the budget to those strategic initiatives, because if you don't appropriate money to complete these initiatives, we'll be sitting here talking about the same thing next year, right? And it costs money to implement, to do these things. And so we're kind of in the infancy stages of an implementation plan based on those rankings and prioritizations. And you'll see as you go across, you've got website redesign. And this is kind of important because we can't post our packet on our current website because the website will crash it. It's been a long time since we did this website. And so we're trying to incorporate funds, as you see in there, the O1 and the O2. When you see an O1 and an O2, that means we're using the cost centers and the object codes for both the general fund and the wastewater fund to be able to include appropriations in there. We are going to use the RFP process, and we're going to go out for a social media content manager and build updated social media content calendar and working with the departments associated with doing that and be able to put that out there. And so you will see both in the general fund and the wastewater fund where we're trying to put that. We have been working diligently to upgrade the sound and the audio visual in the training room and the lead time, much like these vehicles and the equipment. The lead time to get audio visual microphones and drop down from the ceiling and cameras mounted, it's been very long. And so what we're trying to do is be able to, just like the town, when you see in here, there's a Zoom bridge and a live stream option. We're trying to install that in the training room of fire station number 1. And why we're trying to do that is not only that will be beneficial for the commission meetings, it's also going to be beneficial for the captain and the county chief, be able to talk to each other at the different stations. So, they'll be able to do a face-to-face check-in with that. So you see we're trying to do that. That is improved communication. So that was the number one thing, and we're trying to dedicate funds to be able to do that. They need capital improvement. We're talking about fire station number 2 softball. The solid waste bathroom remodel.
The proposed implementation project, I'm saying that the car's going to be all numbers, kind of, I don't know.
So that then goes over to the number that you're gonna find on here.
Right, this way you got, all right,
So you'll see, this is where we're trying to put this stuff
all right.
in the appropriations for fiscal year 24, so that we have the funding to make it happen. Potholes at Signal Point, that's kind of the Band-Aid on the bullet hole until we're able to actually, resurface, right? And so you'll see that on there. Tests and machinery and equipment, well, Bob went down on all the vehicles and equipment associated with that capital lease. And why it's so important is we haven't done one of those since fiscal year 21. So this is kind of combining 22, because we had to order all the things in 22 that haven't been coming until 23 and 24. Because you're multi-year lead times to get. So you're kind of combining 22, 23, 24 into the one capital lease issuance, and we have that in there. Retain, recruit, and develop talented staff. I'm gonna, you'll hear a whole understanding of where we're at and why we need to do what we do, but at a minimum, the 2% COLA and the continued merit, we're going to talk about those costs associated with that. But also, you're going to see the lines increase safety initiatives. Sean has been instrumental, Deputy Chief Engelman has been instrumental in starting up the safety committee meeting again. So the safety committee started meeting monthly, then bi-monthly, and we're now quarterly, we have a plan. And there's hands-on training associated with mandatory safety training for the staff. And I think that's great. We went through the voluntary OSHA program last year in fiscal year 22. We didn't have major violations. We could fix a couple things. And we're going to continue that momentum going so that in a couple years again, we're going to have no problems with the voluntary OSHA program. The voluntary
Fire and wastewater?
What's that?
Is it for fire and wastewater, everything?
Yep, so, Ed Plattenberg comes to do confined space training when? Wednesday morning. So, that is how to go in a manhole, and there's gas detectors and harnesses, and really, you're not gonna take a course online and understand confined space training. You gotta open up a hole and practice going down.
John, thank you, and the others, thank you, definitely. Thank you.
So, improve internal operations.
All, that's gonna be for all staff, everybody's gonna learn about safety.
So, yeah, even admin and fleet were scheming to be able to do some CPR training, because we haven't done CPR training in a while.
So I think the entire staff would be on safety as the number one for everyone.
Right.
For everyone.
And you're not talking huge increases, but what we're gonna do, and what we're planning to do is make it mandatory, bribe people, give them lunch, so they wanna come and try to learn something. So we'll see increased appropriations
No, that's
in those
just
specific
part
projects.
of the, on-the-job training, I mean, safety is important.
Right.
Well, we have the date, because some of the committees, we have to know the 30th.
Yeah, when do we meet with the safety committee? Next month, early March? April. So, we'll be able to come back and show, okay, we're, pretty sure we're gonna get this money approved, so this is what we're trying to do. For example, the solid waste department, we can set up some barriers and kind of do some, live training in the vehicle associated with, tight spaces. Right. So those are some of the initiatives we're trying to put together in the department.
Well, that's good.
It is good. Improve internal operations. We talked about the IT server upgrade. Again, just much like the social media content manager, we're gonna, put an RFP and advertise for a human relations contractor to be able to go out and, provide specific services. Again, that's gonna be training associated with the department heads and the staff. Implementation of the procurement resolution, we will get, we'll get to that later on in the agenda. And then you have improved relationships with partner organizations. So in there, you'll see Charleston Water System, the state, county, the city, Town of James Island, Charleston Water people. On a quarterly basis, we meet with the, and it was very hard to see, all the commissioners attend the James Island Intergovernmental meeting. That was great. So partnering with the state, the city, and CWS, and take everybody associated with Artillery Point. That's why Joe Marcinkus is in here tonight. He's at the Homeowners Association at Artillery Point to be able to understand the information going to those city customers and CWS and how they're going to partner with JIPSD to serve. That water rate, that should be wastewater rate study. That wastewater rate study at the bottom there is through Wildan. With the previous rate study, we would partner with both CWS and Folly because we're all connected with rates. And so we're going to partner with them and present to them as we go through that process. So 1 through 6, you see the strategic goals. Those are incorporated in here, right? And so that's what we're trying to be able to do. And we want you to understand what we're incorporating where, try to help the strategic plan, help drive the cost for the appropriations and linking with the budget document.
Say one thing I don't see on here, I see where the budget, how we're gonna fix it for the budget. But I was thinking timeline, when you start it, when you expect, so isn't that all part of the goal?
And that's the great part about this. The strategic plan is going to be a living, breathing document that I can come to the commission meeting and tell you where we are with what. I'm going to be able to give you an implementation plan that tells you what we're going to do in 24, 25, 26, 27, and how we're going to rank and prioritize. And everybody knows that's good about for 4 months. And then something's going to change, right? And as those things change or get modified, we might do something more quickly, or we get to something else, or something else breaks and takes priority, then we have to, push something else back. And I'll be able to come to the commission, kind of go through that as an implementation plan. The next step on that, when we know what's approved in the budget, then you get down to who is going to do what by when. And that's not all me. I got to rely on the leadership team to help make these things happen.
But I think, when you look at the exam and you have all those things, it makes sense for them to do what you're trying to do, because just talking about it is one thing, but when you got to bring it down, everybody can do it.
Right.
And understand that, because this is supposed to be really education.
Right.
And so I think that that's when stuff is going here, when you're going to get started and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that's what I'm working.
Well, I think this is really great. I've been in other organizations, and they say, oh, we gotta do this and that, and nothing ever happens.
Right, gotta have some kind of timeline.
And it's like we spent an hour, a day discussing the future, and nothing ever happens. So, yeah, I really appreciate how you work with them about the
Yes.
thing.
Just don't put the timeline.
Whenever, how long you been off the side? Okay, Jordan, okay, good.
So I will give this to you, and we can go through this, but all of the building blocks. So first, what Ed was going on, and then the strategic initiative, right? But what I want to be able to give you, and I gave this to you the last time I asked for a millage increase for operating, not debt service. And so I want to kind of go through this because I've been working with Bob Damron, and I've been working with Lawrence Flynn. Lawrence will be here at the next Ways and Means Committee meeting, and I want to be able to give you an understanding of of the millage calculator first, all right? And so this is based on the legislature restricts the district's ability to increase its millage, okay? And it restricts it by having a law that basically shows that CPI, Consumer Price Index, and the growth of population, there's a mix on the maximum amount that the district could levy for operating millage. And what this shows is for tax year 23, you will see CPI is like double what it normally is on there, right? And so what you see is for tax year 23, you'll see that 57.4. And 57.4 will sound familiar because on there, that is the operating component of the millage. The district on an annual basis levies 60 mills. The other 5.3 is what Bob was just talking about associated with debt service. So the vast majority of the millage is for operating, okay? And so based on tax year 23, you'll see an asterisk for tax year 20. That's when they did the reassessment. You'll see in there, we got knocked down significantly from 55.1 down to 50. Our mills became more valuable. And when our mills become more valuable, they knock down the number of mills we can levy. So you'll see for tax year 23, CPI is 4.7. That blows the percentage off the rest of them from the prior year. Population growth, 0.88. The annual allowable percentage increase of millage rate is 5.58%. The residual millage, meaning what we're levying versus what we could, is just over 3.7 mil. We corroborated this with the county. And so the current assessed value, all right, you see within there, they factor in 95% collection rate, okay? So at 95% collection rate, a mill is worth $129,160. And then you have 95% of that for what we'll collect, what the county says is $122,702 per mill. So if I ask the commission, and I'm not going to ask the commission to go up 3.7 mil, the most that we could increase the operating levy for the general fund is just shy of $454,000. That's at $453,997.40. And I know that's a lot of technical information. Lawrence will be able to go through it with you in much more detail in March. So what does that mean, right? Why am I telling you all this? And it's because the district needs to keep up with inflation and to be able to actually incorporate the 2% COLA and the 3.2% average for merit. I just want to give kind of a historical perspective. And based on what Ed was calculating, I was going through the financial statements. And this is what I gave you last time. The financial statements are straight on the website. You go through the general fund. You can see 2018 through 2022. Those are the last 5 years. So we get a 5-year average, and it works its way across. And you see from 2018 through 2022, the district's revenue on the general fund side has not kept up with expenditures. We had an anomaly last year for fiscal year 22. And that anomaly is because we did not spend very much money on capital outlay. You can see that 5-year average shows that you have $1,190,051 for the capital. Last year we spent $44,000, right? So that's a significant decrease because we've been ordering the vehicles, we've been ordering the equipment, trying to get through the lead time to actually get that. So what I give you on that 5-year average is going left to right, okay? Property taxes are the vast majority, 96.2% of our revenue on the general fund side comes from property tax. All right, so then you just go straight across 5-year average, right? 8.5 has been the total general fund revenue. Total general fund expenditures has been $8,865,000. You just keep going down there, okay? On average, the deficit has been $343,909, meaning that expenditures have exceeded the general fund revenue. Now, it's a lot worse if you take out fiscal year 22. Fiscal year 22 is the anomaly, all right? You just take the 4-year average of fiscal year 18 for fiscal year 21, and you add up all those deficits, you're at $2,559,114. That general fund expenditures exceeded general fund revenue. There's a revenue problem. I go into that fiscal year 22 was kind of a banner year. Why it's the banner year? Those financial results are not going to be sustainable due to only spending $44,000 in the capital outlay. Kind of explain that. So when you go through here, the audit team, last month, Gary Bailey came up. General fund expenditures is not complicated. 81.4 general fund expenditures are dedicated to salaries and benefits for the district employees. And the district employees provide 100% of the services to the residents. And the residents of the JIPSD are accustomed to the provision of high level of service. So number 5, we talked about the strategic goal of attracting, retaining, recruit, develop talented staff. And the PSD is no different than the city, the county, the docs. We compete for staffing resources in the greater Charleston area, and this has been a challenge. So what we're doing, we're continuing the merit. We're adding a COLA of 2%. Inflation has been a challenge for everybody. So the estimated ongoing increases, the salaries and benefits for the proposed merit increase and 2% COLA is $322,675. So similar to the 2% COLA for employees enacted the 1st of July, we're trying to sustain that practice moving forward. So I go into the frontline employees in 21. That was a redistribution of an allocation of resources that was budgeted for OPEB. That's what provided the frontline employees with the 10% increase. And admin got a 4% increase, and district leadership team got a 0% increase. So prior to that, in 2020, the merit system was also in place. And as a thank you for efforts during COVID, the commission issued $1,000 check to each employee. And that was a one-time $1,000 check. For 18 and 19, as I have documented on there, that was the merit system. So basically, the increase you got was not associated with COLA or a one-time check. It was the merit increase. So, increasing ongoing annual general fund expenditures demands increasing offsetting ongoing general fund revenue. Or I'm going to tell you exactly the trend of what's going to happen. And that's annual general fund deficit spending. And you've seen that. That's demonstrated from fiscal year 18 through 21. And so ideally, the method to produce offsetting general fund revenue would be smaller and incremental annual increases to the property tax millage. It's not keeping it flat, but it's going up less than the maximum. And you see the commission is limited. I gave you the formula, right? Even if we wanted to, that 3.7 mil is not going to generate another 10% increase for the employee. Okay? We don't have the capacity to do that. So district administration is recommending to the commission that the fiscal year 24 budget include 56.7 mils instead of 54.7 mils. And that would be a 2% general fund operating mill dedicated to increasing pay for the district employees. The proposed 2 mil increase would generate approximately $245,000 toward retaining and attracting district employees to continue to provide the service. And just like last year, we're going to come back in March. There was a slide we provided last time that showed this is the number of properties with an assessed value below $250,000. This is the number of properties with an assessed value between $250,000 and $400,000. And then this is the number of property that is assessed value over $400,000, and then be able to show you what a 2 mil increase would do to the average tax bill of each one of those constituents in that category. So I wanted to prepare you to understand that we need to invest in the employee. Everybody's been to the grocery store. I look at the price of eggs every week on a Friday. They were down to $3.75 versus $5. Very hard to buy, but still, the price of eggs, the price of everything. We are not immune to inflation. The district has increases to be able to provide the employees with increases. You can see some of the surrounding municipalities. The city of Charleston, for example, is increasing their property taxes. They're giving across the board raises between 12 and 13.3%. Even if I wanted to, we couldn't sniff that. We couldn't even do half that. But being able to do the merit increase, and be able to do the COLA, 2 mils, we're estimating will provide $245,000. That will cost the district on an ongoing basis $322,000. And so I have outlined those in there. The offsetting revenues are what's needed to be able to provide those employees with.
Well, I'm happy to say that, we, concerned about the employees, because $8 to $9 that I'm having people. So the you shop at, you know, it doesn't $8 to $9. So, I love the fact that we are concerned about employees. Make sure they can buy eggs.
I wish we could somehow put this to how many of our constituents were using the annexation. When we have the first strategic workshop with just annexation, annexation came at the top of every list. Every year, our constituencies ring the city's annexing all the way out south, South Holly Road. When it's vacant land, it doesn't hurt as much, if at all. You know, when it's houses and it's people, a lot of those folks are on sewer, so they're not proprietary wastewater customers for us. But we're losing our property tax base every year to annexation. And I'd be interested in knowing how many residences, property, people we lost over the last 10 years. Because it's a lot. I'm telling you, it's a whole lot. You know, maybe it's a handful in Riverland Terrace that annexed out of our district. But how are we going to keep up with the people leaving our district?
Well, I can tell you that I get the minutes of every Charleston County City Council meeting.
I do.
And so before I give them to Joanne, I go through and I highlight everything associated with being done. I can tell you West Ashley is getting counted.
Yeah.
Avondale is getting counted. I can tell you Johns Island is getting counted with the annexation. All right? Why they're more successful in West Ashley and why they're more successful in Johns Island, because you send those people letters in detail how much cheaper it is, the property taxes are going to be in the city.
There's no city sewer and stuff in the island. They got a sewer issue.
And so they can't send those letters because we're cheaper. we are very conservative on how we put the millage up, and we have to be strategic. The city can't send letters and say, annex into the city, and, your property taxes are gonna go down. They can't say annex into the city, and your utility bill will go down, because CWS is charging more for that as well. And so to be able to continue to sustain the offsetting revenue, to be able to provide increased annual expenditures, that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here. So, I understand the concerns. Nobody wants to be in the position of increasing taxes unless it's needed. And so you'll see on there, it's a sustained deficit and it's a revenue. And that's why I'm
Only with the law was talking about the 1926 deed protection, about going to the have to protect against annexation. And that's gonna come to code 2035, if we don't continue to do this.
All right, so I know I've thrown over a ton of information at you over the last 2 hours. It's, we can come back, in March. Lawrence will be here in March. Lawrence has been working with, Bob Damron. He will go through this financial modeling. He will prepare this. We got some more, to do on the budget, to be able to put this in the actual budget document format. That'll make a lot more sense to you. And then we will continue to work through this process. And the last thing is the procurement.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, one thing that you did, if you can do, is there a suggestion, is it possible to do a suggestion?
Like the budget.
Right. So, actual percentages.
So if you look at, in here, the 23 amended budget right there, you've got the revenue figure for general fund, and then the, fiscal year 23 amended budget, the total expenditures were $9,971,640, which is really in line with fiscal year 21, a little bit, 20 grand more than fiscal year 21. You see fiscal year 22, kind of a banner year. And that's, you can see in there that fiscal year 22 actual expenditures were less than 2018, which is odd.
Number 7, ordinance repealing ordinance.
All right, so this is what you see. It was in the last packet as well. This is the one-page ordinance. Again, to be able to rescind an ordinance, we have to have another ordinance. And so this kind of goes through there as far as updating the prior version and making sure we rescind those prior versions. Ideally, as we go through this, we will be able to have the next thing on the agenda as the resolution associated with changing the procurement ordinance into the procurement resolution. And again, that would take the public advertising, a public hearing, followed by a action item by the commission on the agenda to approve a resolution. So what I try to provide is the clean version of the procurement procurement resolution. And then I provided the red line version that kind of details all the different changes to that. There's names and position titles that have been changed. And then, if you go on page 5 of the 22 page document, so Article 2, General Provisions, Section 2207, Purchasing Limitations and Authorization. So there you see the red line, right? Less than 5,000. Obviously, this has not been updated since 2014, and that's 9 years. Some of these limitations, some of these thresholds need to change. And we use several different examples. So less than 5,000, the department head can authorize. And then it goes into the table as far as what is required for a purchase order and 3 sources. And then we go up to basically the top threshold of $50,000, the theme of $50,000 as we go through here, right? If anything is over the $49,999, we get the formal bid, we advertise on SCBO, which is the South Carolina Business Opportunity. And so we put things out there, vendors monitor that, vendors that do business with government know to look at that. And so that is what we're putting in there. The auditors, they obviously want to be able to see, we scan everything in, and we put that electronically into the BSNA accounting software. As far as something that's $25,000 to that $49,999, we're going to get 3 sources, and we're going to scan that documentation in there and make sure that the auditors can check all that. They like us because they can simply log in and test for their heart's content. There you go, do whatever you want. We don't have to pull things for them. It's all documented electronically for them. So those are kind of the thresholds. Those are some of the main things in that table. And if you look at the previous versions of those purchasing orders, that purchasing ordinances, that's what is kind of updated over time as those thresholds. But as far as the $50,000, the same thing with emergency procurement, you'll see in there, section 308 on page 9, it says in there, if an emergency procurement costs $50,000 or greater, then it must be approved by the commission before the procurement is made. And so that kind of gives you an understanding of the $50,000 and the limitations within there. In Article 4, and this is on page 13 of that, in Article 4, it puts construction manager at risk, section 4402, selection of method of construction contract management. Construction manager at risk wasn't previously in there. More and more entities in the government are moving towards the option of construction manager at risk, because with that you get a guaranteed maximum price. And we're looking for, as Bob modeled before, a guaranteed maximum price of this project to be $6 million or less. And that's what we're interested in trying to pursue. And then, as Mr. Milliken pointed out at the prior meeting, the last article on there associated with real estate, sale and disposition, real property, Article 9 in there. Obviously, we changed the language in 2 to say resolution, because we may not be doing an ordinance again. But we're changing it to a resolution. And then in the last, Article 10, sale and disposition of surplus assets. We're more and more, we're finding some of the things that we try to put on gov deals doesn't sell. Filing cabinets don't sell. If we can go scrap them and get some scrap money for that, that's what we're trying to do. To be able to have different methods associated with items that are broken beyond repair. The district manager determines that the salvage value is non-existent, or the proceeds from the sale of such items will not likely offset the costs incurred to sell, and such items may be disposed of with a method that best serves the interest of the district. So that language is in there. You stole that from another opinion. So a big fan of a rip off and duplicate. So I'm not asking you to do anything or vote on that. Basically, what I'd be looking for is if the Ways and Means Committee is agreeable to be able to take this to the full commission at the next regular meeting, which would be Monday, the 27th of March.
I've got some questions. On the red line version, on page 6, on the red line version, the red one, on page 6, why have you struck out the department head
in that last part of the graph?
Because if it's over 50,000, it's coming to you at a regular meeting.
Okay, so can you more specifically explain the changes in the amounts in the graph? Because I'm not understanding.
Sure.
Starting on page 5.
Right. So right now, the department head, they manage their budget, and if something is less than $5,000, right. If it's more than 5,000 and less than 24,999, they need to talk to Ed. And that's
So
opening up.
currently it's 2,000. Currently it's 2,000 and you're changing it to 5,000.
Right, and these thresholds haven't been updated since 2014.
Yeah, but what I'd like to know is the difference in the thresholds.
Right.
Rather than trying to figure out ourselves.
So that first one, less than 2,500 is the old, less than 5,000 is the old.
Okay. I would disagree with that, but continue on. What was the threshold for the next?
5,000 to 24,999. They're gonna get a fee up.
So that's not changing from what it is.
So if you look at the old version on there, it was wrong. But basically that 24, it was the up to 10,000 with the purchase order.
And now it's what, two right below 25,000?
Right, so 5,000, 24,999.
And Dave, the reason for these changes, I know you said, because they haven't been updated since 2014. But what made you decide on, I guess, the numbers? Did you look at other entities and do a comparison?
Right, I can tell you that, for example, when I was at the city of Brooklyn, we had combined funds around 18, 20 million on an annual basis. These are about in line with that. We looked at some of the other sewer districts, the other utilities.
Here locally within the state.
Right. And so, we have to follow, at a minimum of what the state requires in the procurement, in our procurement practice. And so, based on our review of what comes through, $2,500 for a PO, we're doing a lot of POs that are encumbered on the, in the BSNA system to take out of the available resources. So when we encumber those, right, we're going through a process to do that. $5,000 isn't very much when you look at the grand scheme of millions of dollars. Say just for easy back of the napkin, you've got a $4 million, Walter's got a $2 million operation. So $2,500, they're
Or the 5,000 is easy.
right. And so we can track all that on the, in the county side.
What we paid for eggs back in 2014 is what we now, but even fuel costs and things like that, everything's gone up $5,000.
So the main change is that expenditures over 49,999 becomes the commission, whereas presently expenditures over 25,000 come to the commission. Correct, Dave?
No.
And
So,
that in the very last one?
so if you look,
Page
the
five.
$50,000 would always come in the commission. And that was the least, it was the same thing with emergency procurement. So the 25,000 to 49,999, we can not have to post on SCBO, go out to formal bid opening, and present the results to the commission. The 5,000 to 24,999, we have to have the three sources. Those three sources are going to be scanned in and attached to every purchase, 25,000 to 49,999. And so that kind of matches the threshold as far as $50,000 in that limitation, as well as emergency purchases. And we carry that theme of $50,000 goes to the commission all the way through.
Remember, these things are already in the budget. They're already in the budget. You already know ahead of time what they're going to pay for it. Not just not spending, so.
The emergency expenditure, I would prefer that not change, it's on page 9. That should stay the same.
It does, so the 50,000.
Yeah. I would be for correcting it to the resolution, having the attorney or us have a sentence in there about real estate sales or reaches go to a second reading. The attorney said we could do that if we wanted to. I looked back and was told the little 0.3 acre that was right there on Signal Point Road. We sold it with an ordinance. We put it through 2 readings. And this has been spent. We knew that we weren't supposed to be doing anything by ordinance anymore. Okay? That didn't happen that long ago. But it was a big deal. We had notice of the land sale. We had a public hearing. And the reason why it matters is because now that was done LD. They're now asking for DD zoning at the city of Charleston. They're asking to not build at 35 feet. They're asking to build at 55 feet. And it's yet another storage facility. On our 0.3 acres at the entrance to our Signal Point Road. To see all these things that's on there. So having the public hearing, having the second reading is critically important. I don't know why we didn't talk about changing the purchasing ordinance with that last land sale. So you did an ordinance, you did 2 readings, you did a public hearing. Since we've done, we're not supposed to have any ordinances. So we're about to get an influx of huge funds. Go bonds, lease funds, whatever. We're about to make huge expenditures. I think we need to take a much closer look at this, and I certainly don't want to pass this on. That's it.
I can comment on that. The reason why we couldn't do that by ordinance is because the procurement resolution or ordinance that it was requires the sale of the property through ordinance and 2 readings. That's why you're still able to operate by ordinance. You require. Right.
But is there anything precluding us from all of this as it is?
Because we've shifted everything to operating through resolution now, to be consistent with that. You can still do the multiple readings, but you want to do it by resolution rather than ordinance.
I don't say it's because, you know, maybe the resolution is also that. We're not reading that. Let's just talk about now. I would like to see it.
Okay, so for example, they, this will not be in effect until April, when we have to, sell these properties will still be by ordinance currently, because that's what the procurement ordinance says, or it would be a reading, publicly advertised, a public hearing, followed by second reading. That's what we're found to in Article 9, or Article 10.
Well, I don't think it really matters, if we have one meeting or two. I think none of us will show up either way. But,
Theoretically, the public would be like that.
yeah.
So you're saying in section 2 is to, take out the scratch line, do second.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that. Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a recommendation, for us to advance this to the full commission with the changes and what's noted by Commissioner Cantrell about moving in second reading and subsection 2 of 9. I believe.
You just make a recommendation. Because you're gonna have to vote it.
Yeah, we'll have to vote for it later.
Right. Just made a recommendation, right?
You're gonna get paid double for the vote. Everybody's off tomorrow. That's give everybody tomorrow, look at that, man.
Is it, promise?
Is this it? Yeah, okay.
Wait for a little while. Let that be made.
She made a motion to.
I just, like to make a recommendation, not a motion. And so, make a recommendation that to the agenda, right?
You do go through committee, then, the only difference is, then it's, you don't need a second, commission, you don't have to vote.
Just go with Why you pick a
We're not looking at it. We all have any other questions about it, just call
All right. What do we have to have a motion in the second reader?
Motion to adjourn? Second. Roll call. Yes.
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 Yes.